You can unmute your mics. Hello there, welcome back. We are at the discussion right now. We have Mr. Nilesh. Welcome Nilesh, welcome Sudipta, welcome Avnish, welcome Kanishka. Thank you so much for being here. Nilesh, you can take over.
Yeah. Hi guys. Welcome. Welcome everyone. Um, Artificial intelligence is going to definitely change a lot of things. Is going to definitely grow and transform in India. So this session we're going to address about the opportunities, the risks, the challenges that we have, and its future. Welcome everyone, and welcome my esteemed panelists. That is Avnish Sabharwal, Kanishka Agiwal, and Sudipta Ghosh. So I would like to do a quick round of introductions, and then we can pick up the questions. So let's start with Avnish.
Yeah, thanks, Nilesh. Good morning, everybody. I hope I am audible. First of all, I'd like to wish all of you and hope that you and your families are keeping safe and well in these trying times. As a quick introduction, I lead Accenture Ventures and Open Innovation Program for India and growth markets. And as part of this program, basically we work, partner, invest, and acquire B2B deep tech growth stage startups, both globally and in India. These also include startups in the area of what we call applied intelligence. Accenture believes in this concept of applied intelligence, which is a combination of data, analytics, automation, and artificial intelligence, both consumer and industrial AI. So we work with those kind of startups, and I guess that's the reason I am here today to represent the startup view and the ecosystem view as well, besides what Accenture has been doing. In addition to the role I have been playing with Accenture, I'm also an angel investor and a mentor to many AI startups, again in India and globally. And I've had the chance to contribute to the National Strategy on AI, a paper written by Niti Aayog some time back, detailing a blueprint of what India needs to do to be a leader in AI. So that would be me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Avnish. Yeah, I would like to now go on to the next panelist, Kanishka.
Thank you, Nilesh. Good morning, everyone. I know that we thankfully started on time at just 3 minutes past what was our scheduled time. Just by way of introduction, my name is Panelist Introduction. I head up the artificial intelligence and machine learning practice for Amazon Web Services for India and South Asia. And a lot of our focus, especially with AWS, is one with the commercial sector, which is all for profit or enterprises. But a lot of it is also with the government agencies, the public sector enterprises, the not-for-profit, the research institutes, education, etc. Because at least at India, we believe there's a lot of, at the base of the pyramid, there's a lot of innovation happening, and that's where we think AI can scale for economies as large as India. And we'll speak more about it as we get into the panel discussion. So that's about me.
Thanks, Kanishka. And the last panelist, hi, Sudipta Ghosh. Could you please introduce yourself? Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh. My name is Sudipta Ghosh. I'm a partner in PwC.
We can't hear you.
Are you able to hear me, Nilesh?
Yes. Yeah, it's much better now. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Nilesh. By way of introduction, my name is Sudipta Ghosh. I am a partner in PwC, and I lead the data and analytics and AI practice of PwC India. Been associated in this field for the last almost 21 years. So you can pretty much say that I only have been working in this area so far. Got a privilege to work with a number of esteemed organizations across multiple sectors like retail and consumer, industrial products, pharma and healthcare, in both analytics and AI. Have also been part of many industry associations like CII, ASSOCHAM, and also some international associations like World Economic Forum and IEEE in terms of preparing thought leaderships, standards in the field of AI, and will be very keen and happy to share my perspectives in this session. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sudipta. Right. So let's go on to the questions that we have. So this, as I said, is the as a topic where we are addressing the opportunities, the risks, the challenges. So let's start with what we have are the new challenges that India is facing, and I would like to address that question to Kanishka.
Sure, Nilesh. It's good that we kick this off. It helps set some agenda, and especially with India and the base that we have versus some of the other economies. I don't know if the audience and some of you have actually read a book. It's written by Kai-Fu Lee, primarily talking about AI superpowers, right? And he primarily talks about US and China as two major economies, and how do you associate AI with them? Now, US, if you look today, AI for everything that is from a consumer standpoint, from a commercial standpoint, is where you would position AI in the US. China is the opposite, where you position AI for a lot of government projects, possibly citizen surveillance, a number of at-scale initiatives that run it. Where India sits in is in a very sweet spot where we call it as AI for social good. We're looking for how do you make AI relevant for the masses that can uplift the lives of individuals, be it out of poverty, be it out of regular automation that comes in, making it more efficient, helping bring greater opportunities for people to contribute effectively to the economy. And that's where we think India is going to look at. It's not going to be more so much from a consumer side or from a government standpoint, but really sitting right in the middle of how does it be good for. And Avnish was actually talking about the Niti Aayog paper, which is a very good reading and is probably prescribed for a lot of you who are listening onto this call. And the Niti Aayog paper actually lists out a couple of things that India looks at as unique challenges. We are an agrarian-based society. Um, Probably, the last census talked about 70%, but we could be down to about maybe 65% of population today completely dependent on agriculture. So can you make an intervention, especially when it comes to agriculture, to help drive economic impact at an individual and at a country level? So there are a ton of projects that today India does, right from crop assaying to soil telemetry analysis to satellite imagery to know, hey, when should I be sowing a particular crop, irrigation analysis, and so on and so forth. And there are plenty of startups doing that. Again, it's something which is very unique in India. What we are doing, especially with the mandis, with the ENAMs, which is the government e-procurement mandis, etc., is something so unique that doesn't exist in the US, because US is leapfrog as far as the agri-revolution is concerned. China, again, has again leapfrogged in some cases. But we need to get into a bit of what we call as the jugaad stage, right? And how do I start tinkering and making my existing model more efficient rather than going and transforming models. Transforming models don't really take place in India. So agriculture is somewhere where we see significant amount of challenge, but again, it presents a number of opportunities for people to step in. The data sets that you're sitting as far as agriculture is concerned, or even at these large scale implementations are concerned, are so humongous that just by sitting on good quality data, you can start deriving much better efficiencies in the technology that you're driving. The second piece is primarily on and I'm speaking about the data sets, right? We would be looking at how can you actually bring in crowdsourcing of good quality data as well as good quality data models, etc., coming in. There is a stream of thought that goes in, hey, why don't we employ a number of people to just annotate data for us? I give them a picture, and can somebody help annotate some of these pictures for me? Tell me, I see a dog, I see a cat, I see some garbage can behind, and I've used that crowdsourcing model to make it more efficient for people to look at. Now, this is something that we are sitting on a tremendous amount of human capital. We don't have to look at everything from the lens of training models better to look at images or anything further. But why can't I train actually the workforce that I have, where I call it as a human augmented artificial intelligence? They are helping me drive a number of those annotation exercises, crowdsource some of these activities, and make it more efficient. And we definitely have a lot of cheap labor that we can harness here, which obviously does not exist in the developed economies. And finally, it comes to the entire initiatives that the Indian government is also bringing in. There is a huge focus coming in from the various ministries, be it from Niti Aayog, from Ministry of IT. Uh, there is a large event that was scheduled to happen actually on the 11th and 12th of April this year, which is now moved to September of this year. It was Chetna, what we call as the Global AI Summit. The Prime Minister was supposed to inaugurate, will still inaugurate that. But there are a lot of strides that India is making to bring forth innovation that is happening at grassroots level.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Kanishka, for especially touching the agricultural part, crowdsourcing of data, and you just touched upon the government initiatives. So I would say let's come back to that part slightly later. But I would like to now go on to Avnish from his consulting background and experience to talk about, just like Kanishka was talking about, agriculture sector. So what are the new use cases that are getting traction because of AI? And the most important thing that we have to see now is the COVID. Is how is the COVID-19 situation having a huge impact on these use cases that probably were like working probably a couple of months ago and now might not exist or might pivot completely. So over to you, Avnish.
Thanks, Nilesh, for the question. So I think no conversation around technology today is complete without a reference to AI. And while the term AI has been around for decades, in recent times, its application across industries from mining to retail to healthcare to finance, education, is rapidly changing industries and business models. And the adoption of AI, I think, in my view, has been so rapid that business and technology leaders can no longer ignore the long term and the sustainable financial growth which AI can provide. Having said that, I think from an India perspective, it will be fair to say that AI still is at an evangelizing stage. And there are very few examples of large scale implementation of AI which have given tangible ROI to the organization. So Accenture works as a digital transformation leader for a lot of our global and Indian clients, and we help them come up with their AI strategy as well as execution roadmap as well. And from our experience, what we have seen till now in terms of the use cases which have become quite popular or are gaining traction would be, for example, in retail. So a lot of retailers are using AI for dynamic pricing and personalization. Then they are looking at stocking time reduction using autonomous vehicles and robots in warehouses. This was done extensively first by Amazon and now being done by Indian companies like Flipkart as well. We have very good startups like Grey Orange, Gridbots, Arc Robotics in this space in India. Manufacturing has come up very well in terms of their uptake to AI. So I think asset optimization, predictive maintenance, digital twins, quality checks being done by automotive companies, for example, are big use cases which we see from manufacturing. Finance probably was the first one to start experimenting with AI and fraud detection, claims management, eKYC, chatbot for customer service were some of the use cases which came up early on from an FS point of view. In media and entertainment, we see personalized content curation, which I guess all of us are experiencing sitting in our homes and watching different OTTs. Language subtitling, ROI tracking in broadcasting and streaming content are some of the examples from media. And then agri-tech, I think Kanishka talked a little bit about that as well. A lot of AI being used in agri-tech as well, especially when you're looking at early detection of crop threats using computer vision, machine learning, and deep learning, and also using AI to rightly come up with the yield optimization pattern for a particular farmer or a group of farms. So these are the big use cases which we see. Now, from a technology perspective, in AI, NLP, computer vision, are machine learning, deep learning are the technologies which we see extensively being used. Now, as you see from these examples, AI today is focused more on developing commercial applications which are improving efficiencies and productivity. But I think the big opportunity for AI is to solve some very complex and unresolved problems for the world. And that is where we need to probably go. And I think COVID has come up with one such challenge, which we have been experiencing, the whole world and humanity has been experiencing over some time now. So if you look at how AI is being used to fight COVID, right from the sequencing of the genome of the virus and trying to come up with a vaccine quickly, to detecting, using AI to detecting which patients could have corona. These are some of the things which we have been doing in health perspective. Uh, COVID is going to come up with a completely new set of business models and a new set of industries and use cases as well, where AI can play a big role. For example, digital workforce, or what we call liquid workforce, right? So that's a big, big area which I feel AI can help a lot. Supply chains are going to get redrawn in the post-COVID world. So again, looking at demand sensing, looking at supply chain optimization, coming up with supply chain towers using AI will be big. And then finally, looking at how can you be more responsive to your customer. AI can play a big role in that as well. So I would say that while AI has been, I think, in the post-COVID world, and we can see a significant surge of AI being used in multiple use cases across different industries. Thanks, Nish.
Yeah, thanks, Avnish. Right. So we discussed the challenges that we spoke about, the different sectors where there is new traction, especially in the AI world. So then that naturally leads to the next part is what is the future? So I would like to call upon Sudipta to talk about the future in AI in India.
Thank you very much, Nilesh. Hope I am clearly audible.
Yes, you.
If not, let me know. In terms of the future of AI, I would like to say that there are 3 or 4 sectors where at least we see that AI is going to play a significant role. It's already playing a big role, it will play an even more significant role in the future. So the first space is healthcare. Now, a research which was done by PwC, we realized and we kind of proposed that it's very difficult for us to catch up with the Western world in terms of the ratio of patients to doctors, in terms of the ratio of the number of beds which are available and the number of hospitals. It's not very easy, although we will be creating more hospitals and getting more doctors and nursing staff and all that, right? So what is really the solution? I think the solution there is how do we make sure that we do not lower the standards and yet we are able to diagnose a disease, prescribe a medicine, and do a follow-up using a digital means, right? So there, AI will have a big role to play. So the first 3 things, so far as diagnosis is concerned, we know that whether it is analyzing the images of the X-ray plates, or whether it is even analyzing the noise as somebody is coughing, which you can do, or just by reading the pathological reports and coming to a consensus or doing the analysis of the same, you can significantly aid the entire diagnostics process. Now, again, I'm not saying that you need to replace the person who is running the pathological department or the testing. You actually augment so that it can handle more cases. It can look at data which is coming from a distant location, and it reduces the need for somebody to physically go and reach a center and provide the data and then wait for a few days to get the results. That is one. Second is, you mentioned about the current COVID-like situation. Now, the biggest problem here is that because of an overemphasis on one disease, there has been a bit of a challenge in dealing with regular patients, chronic patients who need to go to the hospital or who need to get treated. So how do you actually provide them with that service? and there a kind of a chatbot based interface, a telemedicine based interface where a patient doesn't really have to go to the hospital has become more and more important. Even earlier it was important. Now it has become even more important because we want to have social distancing. We do not want our elderly people to get contracted by a different disease from what they are suffering from. So there again, AI has got a big role to play because you can actually do the triaging. You can say that a first level of intervention can be done in a fairly automated way. After that, a doctor can be consulted and you can really help in that sense. So that's first sector which I would say AI is going to play a significantly bigger role. Maybe the COVID situation has precipitated that move, and we are going to be far more accelerated in our journey. If I see the flip side of this challenge. The second place area where AI will play a significant role is in the field of education. Again, like the challenge which we have in healthcare, we don't have enough schools, we don't have enough teachers, and we need to teach a lot of people. If you look at the demographic dividend, we have a large population of people who are in the age bracket where they need to be trained, both primary, secondary, and vocational education. And there again, apart from just the content which can be digitized, AI can play a significant role in terms of customizing the training to the needs of the person, play a very fair role in terms of evaluating and judging the performance, and then make sure that a person is ready for the future. And that's where we will see a lot of traction. Anyways, we are seeing online classes becoming more and more common. uh, that will give a fillip to how you actually deliver those sessions. How do you customize that based on the preferences, needs, limitations, aspirations of everybody? In fact, there are platforms now available today which allow students to chart out their career because they allow you to get connected with your employers, with your educational institutions. So there is a need for doing that. So that's the second sector. The third sector where I see AI will play a very big role is in the judiciary. As we know that number of cases which are pending is humongous. You suddenly cannot increase the number of judges. You cannot suddenly increase the number of lawyers or courts. Yet you need to dispense justice at a much speedier rate, even though there is a lot of activity which is happening manually. There is already a lot of discussion going on which I know of, which is going the rounds, where we are seeing how we can use AI to do better search, to prepare for the cases, to augment and help the lawyers and the judges. And there you can use NLP and NLG techniques in a very, very big way to provide that information in a very, very short span of time. It improves the consistency of the decision making process, and it also significantly improves the speed at which you are able to take those decisions. The fourth area where I think AI will play a significantly bigger role for a country like India is challenges introduced because of weather disruptions. So, for example, if there is flooding, if there is a natural disaster, how do you even kind of do some simulations or predict something is going to happen? Even if something has already happened, how do you ensure that you are able to use a drone based technology which is using computer vision to pinpoint and go and help the people who are needy at that point in time in a very, very quick manner, is something which will become the need of the hour. We have seen a lot of such crises across the globe. India is also not an exception. And the monsoon season is coming up again. There will be challenges with overflooding, with reduction in the rainfall in some places. So any kind of crisis, whether man-made or natural, AI is going to play a very, very big role in both prevention and addressing it in a very timely manner. So with that, I would like to take a pause. Nilesh, you are on mute.
Um, so some of the things of doing online, isn't it? You don't realize you're on mute. So thanks, Sudipta. So we touched upon health, education, judiciary, and weather. That's brilliant. I would like to now go back to Avnish to talk about something that the whole world is talking about is the Startup India. So what is the role that startups in India are playing in AI and vice versa? And also, if you could just highlight as to how India is having an edge on the Western world, because some of the problems, as highlighted by Sudipta, that we face here in India are different from the rest of the world. I'm just conscious of the time, so I would like to request all the panelists to keep the answers as short as possible so that we can go on to Q&A. Thank you. Avnish, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Nilesh. So I think if you look at the Indian AI ecosystem, everybody is playing their role. Government is doing what they need to do. Academia has been pretty active as well, especially our IITs and Indian Institutes of Sciences. A lot of work is going on in the R&D centers of our big corporates and MNCs as well. But if I had to select one, entity which is actually really the torch bearer of AI in India, and making sure that our word is heard all over the world, I think it is the stupendous work which AI startups in India have done. Now, from an ecosystem perspective, there are about 400 AI startups growing at about 65% CAGR over the last 5 years. And the key technologies, as I was talking about earlier, are around NLP, NLG, computer vision, machine learning, and deep learning. So if you look at some of the work with groundbreaking work which Indian AI startups have done, if you know startups like, for example, Sictuple and Niramai. Sudipta was talking about the use of AI in healthcare. I think these two startups, especially Niramai, has really shown the world what we can do using AI in healthcare. In fact, if you look at CBI Insights, the only one AI startup from India is Niramai. So that's a breakthrough, kind of a disruptive innovation where AI startups are playing a big role. But anything else we do, any other interaction which we do, for example, how we consume Ola services or Flipkart or Myntra or Paytm, they are all using AI as well. I think AI startups are showing how research and AI products can be commercialized, even though the gestation period may be high. Again, if you look at startups like Orbo, which is playing in the media and entertainment, Uncanny Vision coming from industrial AI, and Visa, which is an AI chatbot in the emotional wellness space, they are all showing us that even if the gestation period is long, new and very innovative commercial models can be built. And I think enterprises have a lot to learn from there. I have seen and used AI startups in ML and computer vision being deployed with multiple of our enterprise clients in areas around fintech, health tech, retail tech, agri tech. And this has completely expedited the uptake of AI by the corporates. And not only it has done that, but it has also helped to change the mindset. I think that's a very big thing, which the agility and the disruptiveness of a startup gives to a big corporate. And lastly, I would like to say that one area where India definitely has an edge over the rest of the world is the quality of our industrial AI startups. And I would like to mention a few here which have been doing groundbreaking breaking work. One of them is Detect, which comes out of IIT Madras. Another one is Flutura. Then there is Switch On, Nivi. These people are using machine learning, computer vision, and deep learning to solve some very, very complex problems. For example, Detect is able to predict corrosion and explosion in oil wells and oil gases pipes much before they exist. So that's a huge amount of benefit which a big corporate can have. Similarly, Futura is into asset optimization for discrete and process manufacturing. So these startups are actually taking India and India's AI agenda significantly fast to the global world, and are making sure that India's voice in AI is definitely heard. I think my last point here is, which is not a startup relating point, which is about what is India's edge, if any, over the Western world. I think if we can use AI for inclusive growth and social development, Every country has a different agenda of using AI. We very well know some of them, like China, what their agenda is when they are using AI. But if India can differentiate itself in its AI approach and have social development and inclusive growth coupled with privacy of individual, I think this would be certainly a big differentiator for us as what we can do, what compared to what the Western countries are doing. Back to you, Nilesh.
Thanks, Avnish. That's brilliant. So I think continuing on the edge that we were talking about, what India holds, I would like to request Sudipta to talk about how India will be contributing to the world AI and what will be the biggest contribution.
Thank you, Nilesh. I think there are two big areas where we think India can contribute to the world in the field of AI. The first area is the complexity of the use cases and the diversity of the data challenges. So, for example, unlike the West, we have challenges on both sides. A, we do not have the data, or we don't have adequate data or good quality data. On the other hand, we have very large scale challenges as well, which is a country of our size and diversity will be there. So that gives us tremendous opportunity. If you just look at the number of startups, the number of initiatives, and that way, I would say that India will be a very, very big force to play with in terms of innovating new solutions in multiple sectors. Because for every such innovation, you need a specific big problem, and we have a lot of such problems in our country. So that's more a generic answer. The other space where I think, which is more a technical answer to your question, is that one of the big challenges of adoption or usage of AI is the fact that you can build the best models in the world, but how do you make people to use that? Because you cannot dictate it by force that you have to use, which is which is coming up from AI. Now that is where the challenge comes in, and in order to address the challenge, you have to address two fundamental aspects of it. The first one is that whether you understand what AI is doing, which is where we come to the world of explainable AI. Can you explain what is it that the AI is doing? And there, I think India will have a very big role to play, simply because the nature of the problem is such that unless and until you are able to explain what the solution is doing, it's going to be very difficult for people to adopt in such a large and heterogeneous world. So that's one. The second problem is that how do you ensure that there is consistency in the entire modeling process, what we call as a robustness of the model? And there again, because of the challenges related to the availability of the data, challenges related to the inconsistency on which we capture, we will have to be very, very clear about what kind of techniques we use so that we can build a robust data models and robust analytical models. So I would say that India is going to play a very, very big role in the journey towards responsible artificial intelligence, which will be consisting of explainable as well as making sure that the AI is very, very robust. In addition to the number of complexities and use cases which will anyways be there, where we will be innovating far in a far faster manner, not because of anything else, but because that's the need of the hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudipta. Right. So you spoke about responsible AI, explainability, bringing in innovation, especially in an environment like India where there are challenges on both ends of the spectrum, complex problems and lack of data, which are both important for AI to thrive. Especially, you would need data to pick up on the complexity. So I would like to then come upon and speak to Kanishka about the government initiatives that are helping AI in India, especially on the AI and data storage side, to compete against the Western world. Now that we know that we have the capability, we have the opportunity here, how is that the government initiatives are helping us to thrive on that? Over to you, Kanishka.
Sure. Thanks, Nilesh, and Sudipto for setting that bit of a stage on there. I think from a, given the scale that in which is what all of us have touched upon, the scale of data and the impact that we are all sitting on, it requires a lot of government intervention to shepherd some of these efforts together. Take, for instance, a number of tenders or projects that have been coming out in recent time. Right? So, for example, the National Crime Records Bureau put out a facial recognition tender a couple of months back, and that's primarily to do with the ability for us to recognize faces, compare them against their database, and know if this is a person of a criminal record or not. That has spawned a lot of trickle down effect in terms of just regular visual slash facial recognition startups as well as the work that they're doing. Similarly, take a look at what some of the organizations like NITI, etc., have proposed. So NITI has proposed two things, which is a national AI marketplace where you can have a lot of your AI models, AI data sets, everything loaded up there. People can start consuming it. It's ready to use data. You don't have to clean it, and you don't have to go through the regular challenges of getting hold of that data. So that's again being brought forward as part of a marketplace that people can plug in and plug out. We're speaking of Airavat today, which is an cloud computing platform for a lot of big data projects. So the government is proposing that they will set aside close to about 7,500 crores of budget just on Airavat, a pure play computing platform. People can get credits on it, can run their high computing or HPC sort of workloads on that, or even regular AI workloads, and don't have to invest in a particular capacity. Taking that a step forward, look at the legislative changes that are coming in. So the PDP, which is the Personal Data Protection Bill, that's right now with the standing committee in the Parliament, is a great, and that should be a good reading for a number of people here as well. It also tells you that the way India is also safeguarding personal data as compared to some of the other countries that aren't doing a great job at putting a line between what is personal data, what can be disclosed, what can't be disclosed. I think the landmark decision on Aadhaar, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, has also brought this to public realm, and people are able to now understand, differentiate between, hey, should my number be really out there in public, or can I be more safeguarding it? Can I encrypt this? Can I make this not visible for a number of people? And there are legislative changes that are coming in. There is also a good realization that's coming in within the government, as well as within the public sector, is not all analytics should be construed as AI. So there is a lot of deep analytics that happens, but that shouldn't be construed as AI. And there's a demarcation that's being put in there between ethical use of AI versus use of AI that just came out of data. So when a model or a particular data set is able to give you insights irrespective of an AI algorithm running it, well, that's you got that insight because it was already there. But when a algorithm actually tries to get you an insight, and not an insight but a decision between a yes or a no, or should I move forward or take a step back, now that's a decision that is sometimes augmenting a human decision, and sometimes actually taking a decision on behalf of a human. And we are able to finally put that defining line as far as PDP, to say, where does this stop? Which of these are considered to be just insights, and which of these are decision making and are a no-go area for us? So plenty of areas there. I think there are a number of other. I spoke about Chetna, which is due in September. A number of you who were there listening to this should be there on. I mean, if we are going to hold that in person, then it will be in Delhi, a national pan-India event for all AI startups, AI ecosystem. We should have a lot of representation across the globe, and it's only being positioned as AI for social good, as Avnish mentioned. Over to you, Nilesh.
Thanks, guys. I'm just conscious of the time. I think let's pick up a few questions and then we can wrap it up. So I'm looking at the question section, and then I can see that there are a couple of them. So let me pick up one of them that is for Suripta. So it's from KR Ramadeepak saying, for AI to be used at any scale, digitization is a prerequisite. Considering that many Indian health centers' medical records are still on paper and radiology still uses films, although this is changing rapidly, what would be AI's future in India in this context? I think this is what you were talking about, is the challenges that we face where there is no data. So this is a very apt question for you.
Thank you very much, Nilesh, and thanks for the question. I think it's a very relevant and very important question. And that is clearly, as you have rightly pointed out in the question itself, that there are challenges uh, until and unless the data is in a digitized manner or can be converted into a digitized manner. It's very difficult to be used for any further analysis, whether it is AI or just simple, statistical analysis. So that's absolutely a given. Having said that, as you have already mentioned in your question, that the situation is changing rapidly, which actually means that people are going to use digital means to capture the data and send the data. Maybe the COVID crisis has actually given a fillip to that initiative, that how can you get things done from home? And the only way to transmit anything sitting from home is to send something in an electronic or a digital manner. So we will see that over as we move along in the future, uh, there will be a natural push towards digitization, because it is going to lower the costs, because it is going to make it more convenient, because it is going to reduce the contact or the difficulty of a person to actually physically go to a center or to a physician and get a treatment. So we will naturally see an edge or a movement towards digitization. I think that is absolutely inevitable, and it is going to happen. Probably the present crisis have anyways accentuated that. Now, given all of that, uh, the beauty of a healthcare kind of a system is that you can really train the data from other sources by crowdsourcing, a lot of data available. So, for example, if you suffer from a particular type of disease, globally also there will be databases available, even in India also databases available. So it will not be so much about the lack of that data to train an algorithm. You should be able to do that, because it is something which is common across a lot of people, right? So that's a natural advantage which a healthcare system has, and I think we should use that to the fullest extent possible, to make sure that even if we have less data, we are able to crowdsource whatever data we have to come up and jumpstart this process. So that's what I would kind of share my thoughts on your question.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Sudipta. I think there is somebody raising the hand, isn't it?
Yes.
Suresh?
Yeah. We'll just quickly take this. Ajay is here. Ajay will be on stage, and then after this, we have to close it due to time constraint, Nilesh.
Yeah.
Ajay on stage. Yes, Ajay?
Ajay?
Okay, so this is a question for Avnish, and I think even Sudipta can go on this. So, if AI and robots replace or displace humans, do you agree that there should be introduction of robotic taxes globally on a rational tax basis?
So that is a pretty novel question. I think everybody is asking that, and I think if I'm not wrong, Bill Gates is the first person who had proposed that we should have taxes on the AI robots, right? So I think new models and new such kind of arrangements are definitely going to emerge, Ajay, as we go ahead. And people are also talking about unified personal income as well, or universal personal income as well going forward, right? So I think a variety of such arrangements are going to be there. Exactly what and how it unfolds is yet to be seen. But yes, I think many assumptions which were true for what I call the pre-COVID and the during COVID world are definitely all going to be challenged in the post-COVID world.
I would just want to add one more line to what Avinash said. Our point of view has been very consistent, that I don't think we have reached at a stage where we are saying necessarily that robots will replace humans. I think we are always saying that it is humans with robots, and both of them working together hand by hand, because I don't think we have reached that level of sophistication that complex tasks can be completely outsourced to a particular robot, right? If I take that point of view, what is actually going to happen, at least in the medium to short term, is that, or at least the next 5 to 10 years also, I would say, is that robots or AIs or algorithms will improve the productivity and efficiency of humans, and hence it needs to be seen more as a tool, not as an independent species which then needs to be taxed. So that's been our point of view. Given the current state of technology we are in, of course, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But as of now, we will treat robot as any other tool, and then use it as a productivity enhancement tool and carry on with that.
Ajay, I like to just make a point, just to finish, if that is all right. I think my personal point is that all these assumptions were okay before COVID, right? I think COVID is going to be like fuel in the automation fire, and going ahead, digital and contactless will be the new normal for the post-COVID world. And if we are looking at digital and contactless, you can see the big role robots are going to play. So I think I think things are going to definitely shake up.
Okay. Right. So thank you, everyone. But I would like to ask Kanishka to also give his last few comments, because everyone else has given. So Kanishka.
Sure, thanks. I'll just quickly take 30 seconds on this. I think there are a couple of questions that people are putting out, especially on digitization, on the ability to use good data. Where do I get data, etc. Look, it's a chicken and egg problem, right? You don't have good data, so you don't pull out good models. You don't end up with getting good insights, and therefore there is no incentivization to bring in additional data. We put it the other way around. That look, at the first instance, and this is a bit of a cultural change in a number of organizations, you need to have the culture to digitize, put in the right data, record values correctly. This goes across organizations. Take the Anganwadi workers who will record the weight of a child and will always put 2.5 kgs because that's the threshold which is marked as a healthy baby. So you will find 2,000 children having an identical weight of 2.5. Now, if somebody gives me that statistic to do any sort of analysis, it's garbage. And I need to incentivize people to record the right weight. Take an aircraft for that instance. People will put in all kinds of values just to make sure that you have an on-time performance for an aircraft. Can I get the right data for me to do the analysis? The culture that needs to be driven is that we don't want to penalize, or we don't want to use the carrot and stick approach where putting in data will actually result in further repercussions, but we actually say put in good data so that we can help you better for further decision making for your jobs better. And that's the change we would like to bring in, especially with people that are consuming and using data.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Avnish, Kanishka, Suripta. Thank you very much. Over to you, Santosh.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for being part of it. I know, due to the time constraint, we will not be able to address all the questions, but we are going to make sure that your questions have been addressed by the right members, out there, and after the event, for sure. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Nilesh. Thank you, Sudipta. Thank you, Avnish, and thank you, Kanishka.
Thank you very much.
We're going to start with the next session. Kindly hold on at social launch for about 2 to 3 minutes, and we are going to start with the next session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.